Some memories have pictures, mine have music. When I think back on my life, I don't see moments, I hear them. A melody, a chord, a soundtrack, they're how I remember things. They turn memories into feelings again. Ratatouille's Paris, Old Stone, Soft Rain, an accordion echoing through the night. That was one of the first scores that ever made me stop and listen. It wasn't just background, it was the emotion. Then you got A Friend in Me. Simple melody, warm chords, but here's but there's irony in there too. And somehow that irony feels human. That's the power of film music. It can make a toy feel alive. But this video's not about that. It's not a history of film composers. Kind of. It's a love letter to the soundtracks that made me who I am. It's about who I want to be as a composer and why this art, music composition, is one of the greatest forms of storytelling we have. Because music doesn't just tell us what's happening, it tells us how it feels to live it. Shoei Hisaishi, Randy Newman, Michael Giacchino, Ludwig Göransson. Their music showed me that scores aren't decoration, they're conversation between emotion and image, between the creator and the audience. When I was little, my dad would make us watch movies all the time. I think that's where it started, honestly. I didn't even realize it then. I just thought that they made life feel bigger. But now I see what composers do. They give life a score. And for me, that moment that sealed it was Wall-E. That tiny robot drifting through space, listening to It Only Takes a Moment. It's my favorite film for a reason. It's the one that taught me love, memory, and music are the same thing. So this is my journey through soundtracks that shaped me, and the composers taught me that music isn't background. It's the heartbeat of storytelling. Let's start with one awesome man. The one who made me realize melodies can smile, ache, and laugh all at once. Randy Newman. I mean, at the end of the day, all Randys are awesome. When people talk about the great film composers, they usually say John Williams or Hans Zimmer. But for me, it all starts with Randy Newman, because Randy Newman taught me that greatness isn't really how big the orchestra is or how many notes you can fit into a bar. It's honesty, empathy. It's about the music that listens to the story. Take Toy Story. You've got a friend in me. It's a playful little goofy tune, but listen carefully. These chords you have, this sly wink to them, they don't resolve the way you expect. There's irony hiding inside the warmth. And that irony, that mix of sincerity and humor, is what makes those toys feel human almost. Well, I mean, depends on who you ask. That's media composition at its greatest. Music that deepens the story's soul. In A Bug's Life, Newman goes full orchestral. Heroic bass, grand fanfares for ants. It's funny, but it's also brilliant. He takes something tiny and through music makes it feel epic, makes it feel big. The mismatch becomes the message. Through exaggeration, he gives dignity to the smallest characters. Then there's Monsters Inc., that jazzy, swaggering groove. It's pure personality. Without that score, the film could feel dark, even scary for kids. But Newman scores the friendship, not the monsters. He scores the heart, not the plot. That's the mark of a great composer. Writing what the audience should feel, not just what they see. Take even Cars. At first glance, it's talking about vehicles. They're just like us, human. But listen to Newman's palette. Slide guitars, American harmonies, dusty textures. He takes a corporate idea, gives it a soul. He writes nostalgia into metal and asphalt. That's the difference between a song and a score. A song tells you what happens. A score tells you why it matters. Then there's Toy Story 2. When She Loves Me might be one of the simplest Newman ever wrote, but it's also one of the most devastating. No tricks, no grand gestures. Just a melody that sits in silence and lets the listener feel the ache. That's a composer who knows when not to write and when to leave space for the story to breathe. In the interviews, Newman once said songwriting is murderous. It's not about chasing cleverness, but finding the angle that reveals the truth. And that's what I love about him. He doesn't write to impress, he writes to care. Every one of his film scores, Monsters Inc., Cars, Toy Story, it's shaped by empathy. It's music that stands beside its characters, not above them. For me, that's what composition should be. Not showing off technique, chasing applause, but listening the way Randy Newman listens to the people in stories. He taught me that a great film composer isn't just a musician, they're a storyteller with no words. So when I think about greatness of modern composition, I think about this man who mixed jazz, humor, pain, and love into the DNA of American animation. Randy Newman proved that a score doesn't have to sound epic to be unforgettable, it just has to sound true. That's the lesson I carry me with every time I write a song, every time I write music. It it understands it. Next, I want to talk about a composer who takes the same emotional storytelling and builds entire worlds out of it. Michael Giacchino. Michael Giacchino. Yes. Randy Newman showed me how to write from the heart. Michael Giacchino showed me how to build worlds. Before you can even say see Paris and Ratatouille, you can already feel it. The warmth of the accordion, the rhythm of the waltz, the air of imagination and taste. His music doesn't describe a place, it creates one. Every film he scores becomes its own sonic universe. The Incredibles swings like retro jazz, Up floats on a memory, and Ratatouille smells like butter and rain. That's why I love Giacchino. His music feels like home no matter where you are. Then there's Joey Hisaishi, a composer who writes not with instruments but with silence. In Miyazaki's films, his melodies move like breath. They don't rush, they listen. It's music that believes in space, in stillness, in what the Japanese call ma, the beauty of pause. In Totoro, his notes sound like wind in the trees, and spirited away like water reflecting light. He reminds me that emotion doesn't always need volume. Sometimes it needs patience. How's Moving Castle feels like drifting through a dream, a story suspended between war and wonder, love and loss. Its world is whimsical yet heavy, magical yet deeply human. Joe Hisaishi's music captures that feeling perfectly. It moves like the castle itself, always in motion but full of warmth. The waltzing theme, merry-go-round of life, carries the film's heart. Gentle, nostalgic, and endlessly transforming. Reminds us that even in chaos, beauty and love can keep turning. I mean, I have his vinyl. I'm a little biased. Ludwig Göransson writes from inside the world he scores. In Black Panther, he didn't imitate Africa, he listened to it. He traveled, recorded master drummers, and let the talking drum become Wakanda's heartbeat. A sound of power, ancestry, and pride. His music turned culture into connection, heritage into heroism. Then came Oppenheimer. Instead of thunder, Göransson chose tension, violence quivering like atoms about to split, a human choir whispering. The score feels like guilt, a genius colliding, the sound of creation and consequences. Sinners, the new Ryan Coogler film, it returns Göransson to the roots of America's sound, the Delta blues. He records live musicians in weathered rooms. Their voices crack like old wooden faith. The music bleeds through film like a confession. Raw, haunting, human. Across Black Panther, Oppenheimer, and Sinners, Göransson shows that the greatest soundtracks aren't about style, they're about soul. He scores our triumphs, our sins, and our search for redemption. The sound of what it means to be human. Giacchino builds worlds. Hisaishi breathes through silence. Göransson explores sound itself. Different styles, different languages, but the same truth. Composition is empathy made audible. It's the universal language of feeling. They remind me why I want to do this. Because every world needs music, every silence needs presence, and every story needs to be heard. Not every score starts with a blank page. Sometimes the perfect song already exists. It's just waiting for the story, the perfect story to tell it. In Wally, my favorite film, the most human moment isn't spoken, it's sung. Two robots holding hands while a melody of Hello Dolly drifts through space. A song about love from decades ago suddenly reborn in the far future. That scene reminds me of why I fell in love with soundtracks in the first place, because the right music can make even silence feel alive. Sometimes a song A single chord, a voice can give a story itself, its soul. Radiohead's motion picture soundtrack wasn't written for a soundtrack, actually. And, if you were to tell most people, you'd be like, what? Because it is an amazing song. But the thing with that is, it sings to the soul. It doesn't sing to the part of what you're looking at. I don't know how to explain it. It's just, there's just some songs that are so beautiful. They tell you the story without showing you pictures, mental pictures, if you will. And, you know, when I compose, I don't just want to fill space. I want to listen. I want to write the feeling of being seen, the warmth of remembering something beautiful, the ache of almost losing it. That's what music does. It lets us feel seen without ever saying a word. So if one day someone hears my music and it becomes a part of their memory, the way Wally, Up, or Totoro become part of mine, then I'll know what I've done is what I set out to do. Because that's the greatness of media composition. It turns sound into the story and story into something that never fades.